Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Performance on Wheels. My name is Austin, and this is my dad, Todd. We make all types of different cool car videos. Now, today we're changing it up a little bit. We're gonna do an entirely behind-the-wheel driving experience between the Ford Raptor and the Ford Raptor R. Now, what I'm currently sitting inside of is the Ford Raptor R. Now, we're going to go into this with not knowing a ton about the two of these vehicles. I know that the normal Raptor is basically the Raptor R, just with a really, really big motor inside of it versus the twin-turbo V6 that we standardly get. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a few differences.
Okay, but we're gonna go into this, and without knowing the differences, I'm gonna tell you what it feels like behind the wheel of both of these vehicles, if it is worth the extreme price gap between the standard Raptor and the Raptor R, and the dramatically worse gas mileage as well.
What the heck?
Well, isn't it ridiculous?
It is definitely fun checking out both of these modern day Raptors. Just think of it, it was right around 14 years ago that the first Raptor came out, and what we are sitting in currently has more than double the horsepower that original 310 horsepower 5.4 liter V8 had.
Not only have we gained double the amount of power, but we have gotten loads of tech over the last 14 years. Not only that, but we have switched from a steel body to being entirely aluminum.
True.
So when it comes to weight, they're actually probably very comparable when we talk about the first generation Raptor versus this one.
Yeah, Austin, you're right. Like the 2014, the early Raptors, they were pretty much identical in weight to the current day Raptor. What is different between the Raptor and the Raptor R, however, might have a little something to do with those two extra cylinders. Expect a weight difference of somewhere around 300 pounds. Obviously, the V8's a little heavier.
All right, now I'm really excited to get behind the wheel of the Raptor R is what we're gonna start with here. My dad and I are gonna switch back and forth between driving the Raptor R, and then we're gonna downgrade to the standard Raptor, and we're gonna talk about what we miss, if we notice anything other than the motor, and if it is ultimately worth the extreme price gap between the standard Raptor and the Raptor R. So without further ado, let's put it in drive. Now, one of the other things I should mention, this Raptor is a one owner, and it is currently available for sale at Apple Lincoln Apple Valley here in Apple Valley, Minnesota. If you guys are interested in this Raptor, be sure to check out the link down in the description below. Now, this one owner vehicle has 9,370 miles on it, and over the last 9,370 miles, the previous owner has averaged 11.1 miles per gallon, which is right in line with the 10 to 15 that Ford says from the factory. Now, we're just going to be driving these Raptors around town, and we're going to tell you what we think. Right off the bat, I can tell you that the Raptor R has a ridiculous, and I mean a ridiculous amount of low-end torque. Barely pressing the throttle here, under 5%. I mean, the acceleration is absolutely effortless. Like the torque is ridiculous. Not only that, but it is quite cold out today, and I gave it, I don't know, 5% throttle to let my dad hear the exhaust, and I totally just peeled out the rear tires. Like, I know there's no weight over the back end right now, but that's ridiculous.
It's pretty interesting that Austin's first comment behind the wheel of the Raptor R is the low-end torque, because that is something that is the talking point of the Raptor R. It's like 4,250 RPM is when the Raptor R reaches its peak torque. Now, if you look over to the competition, not comparing it directly to the V6, the EcoBoost Raptor, but the TRX, that is substantial because the TRX's torque is more like 4,800 RPM is where that peak torque is. So almost 600 RPM less is when the Raptor R hits its peak torque compared to those Mopar folks.
Very interested to see how I feel once we hop into the 3.5 Raptor. However, driving the Raptor R, I've been behind the wheel of the standard 3.5 Raptor for many, many hours, many, many miles, lots of behind the wheel time of those. But it's been a little bit since I've driven one, but I feel like the transmission, the 10-speed, is tuned a lot better in this Raptor than I remember it being tuned in the 3.5. So when we hop into that, I'm going to make sure to take note of that. But I feel like it shifts smoother, it shifts faster, and the shift points are better in the Raptor R than I ever remember them being in the standard Raptor. One of the things I also want to compare between the standard Raptor and the Raptor R is the torque that the Raptor has from a roll. Now the Raptor's a really, really big vehicle, and the 3.5 struggles a little bit when the Raptor's up and moving. It's still pretty dang quick out of the hole. However, when it's up and moving, that weight takes over that 3.5. So let's see what the Raptor feels like when we hit it from a roll here. Absolutely no slouch here. The Raptor R has some extreme power from a roll. There is no waiting for downshifts. There's no waiting for power. There's no waiting for get up and go. The Raptor R gets down and boogies. My quick recap of driving the Raptor R behind the wheel. My dad is now driving. He is behind the wheel here and piloting the Raptor R. Now, we just got some exhaust clips. What do you think about how it sounds?
It sounds amazing.
Does it? Can you hear the supercharger at all from outside?
No. You can hear the supercharger from the cabin, obviously, but from the outside, it's just all V8 rumble, which is absolutely glorious.
Yeah, it has a very light whine from the interior, and the sound that the Raptor R emits is unbelievable. It sounds so unbelievably good, and I don't even know what to say about its power. I mean, this thing it's ridiculous. The amount of power that the Raptor has for driving it around on the streets it's ridiculous.
We have 150 more horsepower over that ordinary Raptor in the Raptor R here. There are obviously some things that are going to need to be improved. But one thing that Austin already mentioned that I think is worth noting is Ford's 10-speed transmission. We are not putting a whole new transmission into the Raptor R. We are just calibrating it differently for those shift points, for the additional power and additional torque, but it's like the same 10-speed transmission. That's pretty remarkable to show you the reliability and what this 10-speed is capable of. In addition to that front end, that front axle, it has some additional strengthening components up front. I believe like the housing of the front axle is different, if my memory is correct, and I might have some of this slightly wrong. But also the drive shaft is a larger diameter. I do believe I remember reading that when I was looking into the Raptor R, so that's kind of fun. Also, there is some new live Fox shocks. I love the fact that Ford, not only with the F-150R, is showing up Mopar when it's coming down to the end of these big horsepower numbers. They did it with the Mustang by continuing on with the naturally aspirated V8 in the Mustang while the Challengers and Chargers are dying off. And they are also doing it with the Raptor R while the TRX is in its final years. The Raptor R and the Raptor are staying strong. I think I'm pretty sure I read up until 2028 the Raptor's going to be with us. I don't know if that means the R or not. I also read that the R is supposed to be like a similar like production number. Here's what I have to say. I'm saying I think I read this because as I'm reading through all these articles, it was like everything seemed to be a rumor and the facts seemed to be very limited. It was like, well, my sister's cousin's dog's brother said that the Ford Raptor is this, and my neighbor's friend heard. So I don't know 100% what's factual, but from a production number standpoint, it sounded like maybe around 5,000 a year of the Raptor Rs are going to be produced. Now, when you take into account that I think I read around 70,000 Raptors are being produced, these are pretty limited production. That's kind of fun.
What the heck? Well, isn't it ridiculous?
It was like quarter throttle.
I know, it makes no sense.
150 horsepower less. It's hard to believe that the Raptor, like, it still has the ability to put your smile on your face, even after getting out of the R and getting into the Raptor. Like, it's a completely different experience. We're talking $30,000 for that R package. Let's not forget that as we go through and talk about the Raptor here. The one thing that absolutely stands out that you will never experience in a normal Raptor is the fact that even from a roll, you can floor it and the 37-inch tires will break free. I almost feel like everything is a moot point after experiencing the Raptor R. Like, oh yeah, it's got the bigger diameter drive shaft and there's a few things that are strengthened, and there's the double valved shocks. Like, none of that matters. The only thing that really matters, the only thing that's worth talking about, is the difference in the motor. Everything else is a moot point. The subtle differences in the Raptor R are felt from behind the wheel. Like I was talking about the hood bulge with the additional valleys and ridges that it has. It adds to the menacing feel from behind the wheel. I feel like you can feel the difference in that 2 inches of tire with the 35 to the 37. Like, I don't want to dismiss the fact that the Raptor is still a fun truck. It's awesome that Ford still is producing this, but the R is literally a completely different level. The comment that I made previously about Austin and Mai's video, the one that's right up here, about the Bronco Wild Track compared to the Bronco Raptor, like, we went into that thinking, how can this same vehicle that has a $30,000 price difference be that dramatically different? Like, I think we're coming out of this experience with that exact same thing when we compared those two Broncos. It is a dramatic difference. It is an incredible difference. It is a completely different experience. It's not dismissing the fact that the other one is not great, but the bigger, badder one is bigger and badder, and that price difference is justifiable.
I went into this, once again, like my dad said, thinking that how could the Raptor R be worth an additional $30,000 on top of the standard Raptor? I don't know if you guys can see this. I think I'm still shaking from one of the times that I floored the Raptor R. It's terrifying. Like, there's no reason a truck that's that big needs to accelerate that fast. Like, the thing's a bus, and it accelerates like a 911 turbo. Yeah, like, it's stupid. Awesome. It'll lose the back end at 40 miles an hour. Like, it's literally stupid. It is so unbelievably fast. It sounds so good. It gets so much attention because it's so ridiculously loud just straight from the factory. Like, it's another level. It is worth the $30,000. If you can get out of it, if you can sit in it and be scared to drive it or floor it, it's worth the money. Like it's been ridiculous. A while since
I've been in a car that, like, I was surprised by it.
Yeah, like I haven't had the experience to drive a Shelby GT500, but after getting to experience that motor in a 6,000 pound pickup truck, I can't imagine it in something that weighs 2,000 pounds less, yeah, with 60 more horse, with a faster shifting transmission.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like, holy crap, Ford. The Raptor R is stupid.
Yeah. Well done. Guys, thanks for tuning into the video today with Austin, my son, and myself, Todd. We look forward to seeing you in a future video.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this video. Compared the Raptor to the Raptor R. Once again, Ford, you absolutely nailed it. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.